welcome back to the channel and a new video. Swiftly back on the BMW estate car.
Yep.
Absolute beautiful car this is turning out to be.
Yep.
And the bits, there really ain't that many now. We've come to it. So in the last video, Chris asked me to ring Drew and get him an exploded diagram, and that is exactly what he did. And he was absolutely bang on. It come as one piece.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to take it apart to put it in.
I actually, to be honest, Rob, I thought there might be an option where you could buy it in bits, but you couldn't. So you live and learn, don't you? But as you say, yeah, I'm going to have to take that apart. We don't need these parts anyway.
No.
There's absolutely no point changing, disturbing all that.
Just the middle section.
Yeah, just that middle section, and then obviously the outer in one piece.
The outer skin goes on.
So lovely, yeah.
One cover.
But one thing I'm going to need.
Yeah.
Is a new tailgate.
Right, I have found one. But
so
it's Brentwood Autos.
You're going to have to go and get that then.
Let's jump in the van then, mate, and we're going to leave you to start actually taking this.
Yeah, I've got a little bit more on here to pull out.
Right.
I didn't get round to doing that, so I'm going to put the pulling clamp on there and get this floor straight.
Okay.
And then yeah, a little bit of cleaning up, etc. And I'll get on with it.
All right, mate, I'm going to be a few hours anyway.
Of course,
quite far down.
Yeah,
right,
okay.
we'll leave you to
no
crack
worries.
on. Got
no
a few
worries.
projects on at the minute, and we are keen to get this one done. It is so nice the way that pulled out in the last video. There was a little bit of damage on the boot floor here, and Chris made light work of getting a clamp on there, just pulling it out, bit of tapping underneath and on top with his hammer. There was only a crease there that he got out, and we want this car to look completely original, and of course with no signs of the damage. We are back down at Brentwood Autos. Bumper bar, all the back plastics, and a complete boot lid, tailgate, all of everything, literally all of the hinges and everything is there. All of the wiring cut back, and it is, I mean, it's got a couple of little marks on it, but they're not going to matter anyway, are they? Because ours is white. We don't know about our rear lights yet, but what we do know is they've included the rear lights, the badge, the back window. It is complete. That is a complete tailgate. Let's get back. Me and Chris hopefully can get that bolted on there and start getting that car pulled into shape. Job's a good one. I'll leave the details for Brentwood Autos in the description down below, or of course, guys, you can look them up using their name. Absolutely incredible work. Off you go, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't film loads of it, Rob, because it's quite repetitive work, isn't it? But it was basically drilling those pieces that we mentioned earlier on that inner panel that weren't required, and then slotting those two in. And you was out doing something else, so I just thought, well, I'll just offer the outer up, just to make sure the outer's all got to come back off, because I need to weld those inners in first, but and try the tailgate. But I just thought I'll offer that out, and that it just slipped on.
Did it?
Yeah, lovely. Yeah. I'm not just saying that.
No.
It really did just slip on nice. So I've got a couple of self drillers.
Just holding it.
Yeah, holding it in place. Some aperture clamps on there, so I'm pretty much ready. Latches on. I'm pretty much ready to try tailgate.
Probably worth me mentioning. You just said I was somewhere else. Of course, I've already included the bit of video where I went down to Brentwood Autos again.
Yeah.
Huge shout out to them. Fantastic breakers yard, and there's a link in the description. That we think is going to be everything we need. And you briefly mentioned when I got back, Chris has actually stripped all the wiring out of our boot lid, tailgate, and exposed just those two star drives each side. So hoping
so completely independent hinges there.
for the rear window.
Pair for the rear window, pair for the tailgate. You can kind of see.
Yeah.
So we're going to split that all down, partly because it's going to be a lot lighter, isn't it?
Yes.
Because that weighs a ton.
Yeah.
But also we don't need the glass, do we? We need to put the tailgate on there, and if that all fits okay, that's got to be painted as well before it all goes together. So
okay. When I did get back last night, just to mention, I did also get a bumper, but you've obviously put that away already.
I've put that in there.
So I've got the rear bumper.
Yeah.
Pretty much, I think we got every part for this car.
Yeah.
So we can just...
A backlight, I think, and we...
Oh yes, one of the backlights is cracked,
I think that's it.
Pretty much so, mate. We can let you continue on with it.
Yeah, I'm going to get that tailgate stripped, I think, before I go any further.
Yeah, no worries. So onto that tailgate, very, very heavy. So I'm just holding it up here while Chris strips it, getting that wiring loom removed, getting the all important glass removed, because we don't want to drop that, and that is the heavy part of it. So with that all stripped out, let's get the old one off. I'm out, so Dan's going to help Chris here, lift that new one on. There's just 4 bolts there to hold it on, and he's removing all of that glue residue that's on the roof from the crash wrap and also off of the quarter panel, and it's made a huge difference. So on with that new boot lid, tailgate, whatever you like to call it, just those 4 bolts, and now we can get that lined up and start opening and closing it, making sure it's absolutely bang on with that back panel in place. Absolutely outstanding, and I know Chris likes to get it millimetre perfect, even though you'll get the millimetre perfect on final assemble, but I'd say that was a good shout for a first fit.
And we haven't adjusted the latch or the catch either, have we?
No.
So, and that's on the paint marks on these
hinges,
on these bolts, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's
on the first time you put the tailgate down a minute ago, I said, "Oh, you got a big old gap here." And then you said to me,
"Should I try and unlatch it without knocking my teeth out?"
And then he said, "Give it,
a bit of tension
quite powerful." He said, "Oh, shall I second latch it?" I didn't realise it was only latched once. So that's latched once, and then push it again. Absolutely perfect.
Yeah, I think I can go ahead and take that outer skin back off now, can't I?
Try and lift it right up.
Yeah, can do.
Sorry, mate. Better off you explaining it with it open. That's it. That's because it's electric.
Yeah. Go all the way, can't it now? Yeah, so I can take this outer skin back off, and weld those 2 inner skins in, and go from there.
Move on to the
all right.
But it's actually for a car that was tapped in the back and it looked quite messy. Yeah, this is turning out to be a lovely job, and like you said in the first one, limited parts.
While you was out, and
I didn't even notice that.
Well, Dan gave me a hand to take the old tailgate off, but we decided it's probably a free, because it's so heavy, isn't it, and awkward. We decided it was like a 3-man job. So while I was waiting for you to come back, I thought, get all that tape off and across the roof as well.
It's absolutely immaculate,
yeah, there's not a mark on it. So, yeah.
All right, mate, we'll let you crack on.
Okay.
So being completely happy with it, it is time now to remove that cover, get a welding blanket over there and start the process of actually welding in the inner sections of this back panel. And you can see, as fast as Chris welds it in, he cleans up the welds, cleans up the little bit of excess on the top there and gets that all perfect. Made quite light work of it, but it was those 2 little panels. I think this is going to turn out to be the fastest car on and then back off the jig again, mate.
Yeah, well, we have got something else to go on it, haven't we? Beginning of next week.
Something very, very, very special.
Yeah, so got to turn it round a bit lively.
You're in, mate. You're done.
So the 2 inner panels that I unpicked off of that new piece, they're in. Done a bit of grinding up there, Rob.
Yeah.
So, yeah, quite straightforward, really. I'd time-lapsed a bit of it, but
I did see a comment this morning saying, "Chris, stop saying it's straightforward. It's only straightforward for you."
Well, yeah,
that is straightforward for you.
Yeah. Have to stop saying that. Yeah, it's really difficult.
You say whatever you want, mate.
So, I've got a mask up now. Put a bit of primer on that.
Etch primer.
Yeah, I've etch primed the inside of that. Should clean the edge off of that, and then I'll put zinc around the edge. Yeah, but I'll do the same on this, and then that's got plenty of protection on the inside, hasn't it?
Yeah. You'll probably, once that's welded in, you'll probably leave it there and do the ceiling up and stuff at this height because it's a bit better.
Yeah, definitely. There's no reason not to, really. No. It's nice height to work on.
I'll let you crack on with that. I'm going to continue building up this car that we've been waiting for from the paint shop.
Yeah.
It's outside. Cool. All right, mate.
All right, mate.
And with them on and a bit of primer in there, it is time to mask it up, get a load of primer on there, and then he can continue on with the welding, and of course, all important, get that second section, which is over the top. So this was a 3-piece. And the last piece that goes over there is just one complete piece that covers it up. But you do want to put weld through primer around the edges, and then of course all inside as well, you want to prime it up. That's the inside of the back panel, all cleaned up where it's going to be welded, and of course primed as well. This one really, really is going very, very fast, and will soon be back on all four wheels on the floor. Chris, is that the last bit?
Yeah, so that's the...
Let's get you in the shop there.
Yeah, I think you've probably mentioned in a bit of time lapse, haven't you?
Yeah.
That that's all the primer on the inside of the panels done. So yeah, that's all lined up now. So I'm going to crack on and get that welded in and ground up.
Loads and loads and loads of little plug welds, and that is... Yeah, unfortunately, Chris is back on the welder for the next probably couple of hours, and then again a bit of grinding up. But this car really is coming together, and I've also got some paint on the way for it. So I'll go and grab that from my house.
We probably need to get some new spray sealer. Yes. Because I think I used the last lot on that Q5, didn't I?
Yeah. So I'll go off to Worth and get that as well. And that we've used it before. Chris will show it later with a gun, but the Worth product we use is probably what's already on this car, or very, very similar. It's a German company, and it's absolutely like original once it's on there.
We need some new sound deadening as well for that floor.
That's it, because that all broke up and it's kind of cracked up and went dusty. So, right, mate, we'll leave you to it.
Cool.
With that back panel back on there, the final part, it is time to weld it up. You can see as Chris is welding it, he's moving the mole grips along, just pinching it nice and tight, doing the next weld, pinching it again, and then doing the next one. Nice little show of the welds there, and a quick grind up just to take the heads off of all the welds, get them nice and flat, because of course that's your aperture on the top there where your rubber's going to sit, and your rubber's not going to sit very nice if you've got a load of excess on the welding. I promise I haven't been hiding why Chris has been absolutely cracking on in here. I've been outside working on another video and we ain't sure what way round they're going to go yet, but that car is completely back together. That back panel is absolutely perfect. It is completely re-welded back in exactly where it come off of the factory marks, and it is pretty much ready to hit with some primer. Oh, I can see now Chris did go with that original centre section that held the latch, but it was just here that had the impact. There's only so much you can show. When Chris was doing the welding there and the grinding up, there's absolutely no point in me trying to video it. Number one, you can't hear anything, and all you're going to see is a load of sparks. So we are going to let him crack on, get some primer on that, and I'm going to have to shoot to Worth and get him that sealer, because he's working so fast. Every time I blink, it's almost done. Let's let him continue on, and I'll go and grab the supplies. Never when this car arrived did I expect it to be turned around and repaired that quick. Chris has now done all of the priming, all of the sealing, and this car is actually now ready for some paint. Now, 90% of this you can't even see. Well,
that's right.
You're only going to see this edge. Everything is covered up, but Chris has scotched that off as well. And when he hits that with a bit of paint, he's actually going to be painting the inside of that tailgate as well. Also, just to add, we've just had, I would call it good news, because it's better than nothing, isn't it? We've had an email back from Copart. I did go through the official complaints department, and they said from the picture, as can be seen, the car was running and driving at time of test, which of course it was. But they've admitted that the rat damage is there, and they have offered us a partial refund of 280 something pounds.
It's a very random amount.
It is a random amount, but we're going to take that, and that is going to cover the cost of a rear seat base.
If we can find one.
And to sanitise the whole car. So, yeah, I'm not going to say thank you, because it shouldn't have been there, but you know what, it was better than nothing, wasn't it? A lot of other people have had a lot worse luck. So
that's right.
Anyway, mate.
Bit of ground coat, bit of base coat, bit of lacquer. So
nothing more to say.
No,
we'll let you crack on, mate. And I'm going to have to stay outside,
unfortunately,
for a few hours, aren't I? But I've got plenty to get on with out there. We'll leave you to it, mate.
All right, mate.
Poly mask straight over the whole car, and that's to prevent overspray, of course, isn't it? Because he's going to be putting a bit of paint now onto the back panel. So this is a 3-stage pearl, and it is just a white ground coat there, and then it is your pearl, and then of course a bit of lacquer over the top. Plenty of paint on there, as much as we can get on there. And then I guess it's going to be a case now of leave this overnight, let it completely cure, and then in the morning we can pick up and hopefully start piecing this one back together. Right, stay where you are.
Breathing.
Abracadabra. You've done it, mate.
Yep.
The inside of the tailgate is all completely in colour
Yep.
and sealed up and done. And of course the back panel is all done as well.
Yep.
Completely back to original. You're never ever going to tell. Anyone that removes that bumper later on in this car's life are never going to know that that's been replaced, because it's all genuine panels, it's all back on its original welds, and we use the original German Worth sealer.
Yep.
So it's just no one's going to tell. We're ready. We're ready to unmask this car and start building all this back up and getting it back together.
Yep.
Probably worth mentioning, the other side of this tailgate is not painted. Chris has edged it up.
Yeah.
And someone is going to say, so you're going to have to explain, well, he had the paint out, why didn't he paint the rest of it? And
Well, these are not perfect conditions.
No, they're not.
For one, are they? But also, there'll be a blend whenever you do paint work. There'll be a blend into those quarter panels. So the way I've done this is we can put the tailgate on, we can fit it up. It can go to paint. The tailgate can be painted on the vehicle, so those blends can be blown in.
And it's probably worth mentioning as well, it's a 3-stage pearl, so it's definitely going to need a blend.
Yeah.
Right, mate, let's get it unmasked and start the process of putting it back together, I guess.
Mate. Yeah.
It's going to be watertight within the hour, hopefully.
Well, it'll be a little bit more than that. It's going to be, they're an odd setup on these. That, there's no plug to disconnect the tailgate wiring loom.
No.
It's all part of the roof wiring harness.
So, we've got
so where that joins, no one knows. But when you got that tailgate, they'd obviously chased it a fair old way and then chopped it off here somewhere.
Yeah.
So I've took it out anyway because it's going to paint it.
Yeah.
So I've got a big lump of loom up there.
Okay.
That's got to be, it actually threadles down through there, Rob.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, and comes out various places.
Quite a bit of work ahead of us.
Yeah, I may even have to refer back to some previous video of where things. I mean, it kind of gets self-explanatory once you get it there, doesn't it? But there's lots of options for routing it, and you've got to get it right.
Let's crack on then, mate, and get it in there.
Right.
So the next morning, time to unmask it. It's all come out lovely. Let's get it bolted on. Chris will thread all through that wiring loom. And I believe I've just popped out here to do something, or I'm out in the yard working on another car, but it gets the wiring harness through there, and then we can continue on building this one up. There's quite a lot to it. With this particular car, it had actually been to a garage, and the assessor had actually instructed the garage to start stripping this car to see the extent of the damage, and we'll get onto that in a moment. But as you can see, I jumped in the front there, put all of that back together because I took it apart and knew where it all went, and the same with the other side. And like I explained on the time lapse, Chris just cracked on and started piecing all of this back together. But going back to the insurance company, we have found a couple of very, very minor issues there really, and that is the parcel shelf is missing. That could have possibly have been in there, or the person that owned the car may have that at home.
Yep.
And then we've got the boot floor carpet, the end piece, and we can see it is all cracked and broken, and that is where it had a smack here. And then we've got that trim that goes over the top with the silver plate on it. Of course, that's all damaged as well. But we have just noticed that there is a large piece of carpet that goes in here that's actually missing, and that probably most likely would have been in there. And it is unfortunate when they go off to an insurance company for assessment, they've obviously put all of this stuff into a basket, and then they've said, we're not repairing the car. They literally fold the seats down, throw it in there and send the car up the road. So we've got a couple of little bits that we're going to need to find. But
there seem to be quite a few of these on eBay.
Oh, what does that?
Yeah, so
I think it's got the part number.
Yeah, I think we'll probably be able to find the rest of it.
Yeah, and the seat, we had some good news on that as well. So Chris pulled it out just so that I could get an exact match. Now, we could have gone and got that repaired, but we're not really going to. I've actually found one on eBay, and it was 200 and something pounds, and that was for the whole back piece and the base, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm going to contact them and say to them, do you know what, we don't need the back piece, just skip that and we'll buy the base off of you. So let's get that sorted out. In the meantime, we really want to get this car watertight and also get that boot lid completely fitted up. So we are going to continue on with probably the scariest part of this, and that is fitting that glass to these inner second hinges. Let's crack on and get that done. So in with that all-important back window. This is the scary bit because it's very, very heavy. It's glass and it's, of course, on those secondary hinges. But we got it on there. It lined up okay, but it wouldn't click in the latch. I got in the boot, moved the latch until it clicked in and then tightened the latch up. It's perfect. As I mentioned on the time-lapse, we have been up and down with it manually and we just can't get it. It pops fine. It pops absolutely fine. But to get it to actually open electrically, it's down and then that's all we get and no movement. And I'll be honest, we just started the car up with one last ditch attempt to actually try it with the car running, and that's when the penny dropped. We think we know the problem. Do you want to say what it is, mate?
We got the rear bumper loom unplugged, haven't we?
Yeah.
So,
and it says rear PDC failure.
Yeah.
So obviously that's connected to the boot loom and it's probably thinking, I don't want to open and cause any problems. But now that's shut.
That works a treat, doesn't it?
It works an absolute treat. Obviously all this has got to be recovered up, but it's back together, mate.
Yeah.
And well done to you. Look at that. Like I said previously in this video, how are you ever going to know that that car's been involved in an accident?
No, that's right. No,
You're
that's
not,
what you're trying to achieve, isn't it?
It's a shame it's a Cat S. It did have slight structural damage. They was welding parts, but it is what it is. And of course, when it comes to selling it, it'll be at a reasonable price, won't it? Unfortunately, guys, that is going to be the end of today's video and the end of the only part 3 on the BMW estate car. I think you would agree it has come on leaps and bounds in just those 3 videos. If you missed part 2, that was an epic moment for me when I finally got the car running and found those little tube wires. Chris is really happy with what he's got done there, sitting there admiring the view. In the next video, this one will be going off to the paint shop. We can do our final assembly.
We can.
And hopefully this one will be nipped in the bud. Don't forget, if you did enjoy the video, hit that thumbs up. We really do appreciate it. And of course, it shows your appreciation. Hit the share button. It's completely free of charge. Share it on all your other social networking sites. And if you want to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, the links for all of those are in the description down below. We'll look forward to seeing you next week in the next one.